So now we come to Unit 3. We've got the Israelites in the land, and they're in the process of settling the land, eventually to emerge as the dominant people group in what was formerly the land of Canaan. But the land of, again, the variety of other people groups that we talked about earlier in our study. In this unit, we will also move all the way from the settlement period into what we have in the book of Judges, Samuel, and then the King's material, complemented, of course, by the book of Chronicles, in discussion of the history of the emergence of kingdom and the division of the kingdom into the two sections that we have, the northern kingdom and then the southern kingdom, the northern falling to the Assyrians around 722 BC, and then Judah's final destruction in 586 BC. So we'll look at the broad spectrum of history, and again, as we've looked at, the geographical and cultural religious settings of Israel during this important period that eventuates, of course, in the Israelites being exiled by the Assyrians and later the Babylonians, only to be restored at the beginning of the Persian era in the time of Cyrus the Great, Cyrus the First, around 538 BC. So we'll cover a broad spectrum of history of the Israelites and look at some of the issues of kingship in the world of kingship models of ancient Assyria, Babylon, and so forth. One of the important issues, of course, going back to the Samuel material and Israel's cry for a king in the backdrop of the Philistine oppression, is a cry for a king, and a king like the nations, to lead them in battle and to give them victory over their enemies. So that cry for kingship that eventuates, of course, in problems of kingship that Samuel warns about in chapter 8. But we'll look at the perspective of the king writers of the King's material and the parallel perspective of the chronicler, and looking at models of kingship and issues of kingship in the ancient Near Eastern world.